In this video, we will talk about the importance of handling conflict in the workplace. In most work teams, conflict is more or less inevitable. Poor outcomes, however, are not. Conflict could arise when personalities clash or there are disagreements within a work team. Conflict, in comparison with workplace disputes, is usually more of a long-term situation. And while initially it may involve only two individuals, it can escalate with team members choosing sides. Eventually, the whole office could be involved, and a volatile atmosphere could be the result. When people focus on their distress, their work no doubt suffers. Office conflict can lead to lower employee productivity, poor work attendance, low employee morale, and non-cooperation within the work team. It may even lead to resignations and costly reappointments. At one point or another, it will become necessary for management to intervene. Of course, the trick is to not let things get out of hand in the first place. But how can this be achieved? The following 9 steps will assist you in achieving the best possible outcomes when handling conflict in the workplace. Talk privately. Employees should be able to talk to each other about any concerns they have. It is important to note that employees who feel that they can talk to each other without fear of reprisal are much more likely to solve problems quickly. If something is really bothering you or a colleague, then find a quiet place to discuss it. Put the work away. Turn off the computer. Try to find a time when you will not be interrupted. Trying to resolve conflict in front of other team members usually escalates the problem instead of solving it. Always ensure that when you do have a problem, you talk to that person directly in a quiet and calm environment. Listen to the other person. When you are in conflict with another person, you are going to have to listen to them. That means you are going to have to be quiet. Put down your iPad, your phone, and all other distractions. Be truly focused on what the other person is saying. Do not interrupt them, try not to talk over them, or to solve their problem for them. Just listen to what the other person is saying. So, for example, if you are working with a client who is having a problem with one of their employees, then you need to listen to that person. You cannot tell them how to feel about the problem, and while you may not be able to solve their problem for them, you can actively listen to them and show them the respect that they deserve. Actively listening is an essential tool in all aspects of work and a significant one when trying to resolve conflict. Acknowledge your similarities. While you cannot tell someone how to feel about a situation, you can let them know how you feel about the situation and try to acknowledge what you have in common with the other person. This is the most important thing you can do at this point. If there are any similarities between you and the other person, it may help to ease the tension. Different people have similar qualities. Some people might be impatient, some might be angry, and some may be shy, among other examples. When you acknowledge those similarities, you help to diffuse tension since it shows that you are not trying to force someone to like you or accept you. Rather, you are acknowledging that you have something in common, even if it is not what the other person wants. We are all human, and sometimes when we are in the middle of a heated argument, we can forget that we have numerous similarities. We can resolve conflict by admitting that we have these similarities. It does not imply you have to be best friends. It simply means you can work together respectfully and in a calm environment. Admit your mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. The mistakes are what allow you to learn and grow. If you try to skip over mistakes and never admit to them, then you are going to make the same mistakes repeatedly. In order to grow, you have to be willing to admit that you are wrong. Being wrong is not necessarily a bad thing. Most of the time, it is a sign that you have been doing something in an incorrect way or have been incorrect in your thinking. When you learn from your mistakes, you can improve as a person and as an employee. So confidently acknowledge that you were wrong. Let your colleagues know that you acknowledge your mistakes, that you are open to learning from them, and that you are willing to make amends. This demonstrates that you want to be a better person and that you are not set in your ways, but rather open to the possibility of improvement. Focus on behavior, not personality. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are an opportunity for people to improve. You cannot change someone's personality. However, you can change the way you approach people and the way that you treat them. If the other person has made a mistake, then try to focus on the behavior, not the person. If someone is acting poorly, then try to focus on what they are doing and not what they are like. This is especially true if someone has made a mistake. Never target anyone personally. In a professional atmosphere, always remember that you are addressing a problem and not a person. Sometimes this is the reason conflict arises in the first place, because people tend to point the finger to a person rather than a problem. Once we understand this concept, getting along in the workplace will become much easier. Identify points of agreement and disagreement. This is an important step. If there are points of agreement between you and the other person, then try to focus on those points. Similarly, if there are major points of disagreement, focus on those points. Make it obvious that you do not agree with these points, but that you also want to focus on the points that you do agree on. This is important because it helps to keep the conflict from becoming too intense. If someone is working with a client who is having a problem with one of their employees, then identify the major points of agreement and disagreement. Always remember that any situation has two sides, and you cannot make decisions just based on one. The same with conflict. You cannot base your reaction purely on disagreements, because there are agreements as well. Set a positive example. If you want others to respect you and follow your example, then set a positive example. If you want to handle conflict in the best way possible, then try to be the best person you can be. This means that you must set an example of respect, diplomacy, and honesty. When someone is in conflict with another person, they should be focused on trying to be better than before. Therefore, the best way to handle conflict is to work on yourself and start with your own imperfections before projecting them onto someone else. Setting a good example can help you with much more than just resolving conflict. It can show people around you, including managers, what type of person you are. This can be to your advantage in the future when it comes to promotions and working with a team. Avoid escalating tension. If there is a problem, then it is best to address it directly. Often, you can simply explain a situation to another person to help them understand things better. Tension and conflict are likely to escalate when it is not resolved or addressed immediately. It can change from being a small, easy fix to a major problem that might affect the whole team. Never leave anything to escalate. Rather deal with the issue as soon as possible and close the book on that problem. If you are not sure about how to address the problem, talk to someone in the company that could assist you with the correct approach, maybe an HR official or supervisor who is good at resolving issues in a calm manner. Use a mediator. Sometimes conflict cannot be resolved. In those situations, it is best to seek out a mediator. A mediator is a third person who is unbiased and can help to bring the two sides together. A mediator can help to bring parties together who may not be able to resolve their conflict themselves. When conflicts cannot be resolved, a mediator can help to get both sides talking to each other and come to an agreement. While conflict is not ideal, understanding how to handle it can help businesses to move forward and stay focused on their goals. A mediator can be anyone in the company who can address a situation calmly and who has a fair approach to the situation. Most of the time when there is conflict in a company, an HR official will handle the situation and become the mediator. When there is conflict between a staff member and a customer, it is usually the manager or supervisor who will be the mediator. At the end of the day, if two parties cannot resolve the problem and come to an agreement, it is better to ask a mediator to help with the situation. Sometimes a mediator can come to a resolution much quicker than two parties who are upset with each other. Knowing how to handle conflict in the workplace is crucial when working with other members or when you have staff members working for you. If conflict does not get resolved, it often leads to staff resigning or productivity decreasing. Ensure that your team members know how to deal with conflict in a calm and respectful manner. This will be of benefit to you and your team members. Thank you for watching this video on handling conflict in the workplace.